And if Congress passes that bill, Kamala Harris will sign it into law. Yeah. Because they understand freedom is about being able to make the right choice for ourselves and our families. And here in Arizona, you don't even have to wait. Abortion's actually on the ballot right here. You have a chance to vote yes on Prop 139. Let politicians have control of their personal medical decisions. It's an example of how, at the end of the day, that this election, it's not just about policies. It's not just about plans or concepts of a plan. It's about values. It's about who we are, how we treat each other, the example we want to set for our children and their children. It's about caring. Some of you know that when I was growing up, I didn't have a father in the house. But I was lucky enough to have people around me. A stepfather for a time, my grandparents, teachers, coaches, most of all my mom, who taught me the difference between right and wrong, who showed me what it meant to have integrity and to be honest and to be responsible and to work hard and to treat other people the way I wanted them to treat me. And I suspect most of you grew up the same way. And I wasn't perfect right off the bat. And sometimes I didn't live up to those values and I made mistakes. And I tried to learn from them. And then as I got older, I continued to benefit from people who reinforced those values. And obviously, my wife, Michelle, was one of those people. She's still trying to make me a little bit better. But it wasn't just Michelle. It was also friends and coworkers and neighbors. And even political opponents, people on the other side of the aisle. And I already mentioned it before, being here in Tucson, I'm thinking about my friend John McCain. Yeah, no, I don't want to over romanticize our relationship. And, John was conservative, to put it mildly. Ran against me in 2008. Talked about me on the campaign trail. But you know what? He understood that some values transcend party. He believed in honest argument and hearing the views of other people. He didn't demonize his political opponents. You remember a time at the end of the campaign when a woman at one of his rallies said, "Oh, Obama, you can't vote for that Arab. He's not even a citizen." And she started going on a rant. And he said, "Man, hold on a second. I had a lot of disagreements with Senator Obama, but I served with him. He's a good man. He's an honorable man. He's a patriotic American." Shut it down. He knew that if we get in the habit of bending the truth to suit political expediency or party orthodoxy, our democracy can't work. The man had character. People like Debbie Giffords and Mark Kelly have character. Your governor has character. Your mayor has character. That's what I think about these days. I think about this a lot because it's so different from what we see right now out of the Republican nominee, and increasingly the entire party has just decided it's okay. I mean, one of the most disturbing things about this election and Donald Trump's rise in politics is how we seem to have set aside the values that people like John McCain stood for. Values we were taught. A few weeks ago, we had one of the deadliest hurricanes in American history. And President Biden and Vice President Harris were down in North Carolina meeting with local officials and comforting families. And meanwhile, Donald Trump and his running mate were making up stories, circulating stories about how the Biden administration was withholding aid and not giving it to Republican areas and giving it to undocumented immigrants, just making stuff up. And even Republicans on the ground said it was a bald-faced lie. And there were real consequences to this. The other day, a man was arrested for threatening FEMA workers, emergency relief workers, because he believed some of those lies that were being spread. This isn't harmless. Yet people some workers have been forced to relocate because they're worried about their safety. People who are just trying to help. And you're trying to exploit that? Folks that they're most vulnerable? It is shameful. And because Donald Trump feels like making stuff up, you got hardworking public servants who cannot do their jobs. And you've got desperate families being left to fend for themselves. Some of them are not even applying for aid they're eligible for because they believe that, well, there's no point because I'm not going to get help. So my question is, when did that become okay? Look, no, just hold on a second. I really want to focus on this. No matter where you are on the issues, how could you go along with that? If your coworkers acted like that, they wouldn't be your coworkers for very long. If you had a family member who acted like that, just making stuff up, hurtful stuff, you might still love them, but you tell them you got a problem, and you certainly wouldn't put them in charge of anything. And yet, when Donald Trump lies or cheats or bullies or shows utter disregard for our Constitution, when he calls service members like John McCain losers because they died in battle or were captured, when he calls fellow citizens vermin or the enemy within, people make excuses for it. They think it's okay, so long as their side wins. And I have to say, I've noticed this, especially with some men who think Trump's behavior, the bullying and the putting people down and acting all, pretend tough guy, that somehow that's a sign of strength. I am here to tell you that is not what real strength is. Never has been. Real strength is about working hard and carrying heavy load without complaining. Real strength is about taking responsibility for your actions and telling the truth even when it's inconvenient. Real strength is about helping people who need it and standing up for those who can't always stand up for themselves. That's what we should want for our daughters and our sons. That's what I want to see in the President of the United States of America. And the good news is that you have a king. You have candidates to vote for in this election who demonstrate character, who know what real strength looks like. who will set a good example and will do the right thing and leave this country better than they found. And that is the choice in this election. So, if you are talking to friends and family and neighbors, and it's hard to have political conversations right now. Sometimes families are getting divided. It's getting so intense. Friendships are broken off because of it. It shouldn't be that way. But Ruben and I were talking to a remarkable group of men right before we came out, and we were talking about this, and somebody said, "Man, I'm just so tired of everybody being divided and mean and nasty." And I said, "Well, we don't have to be that way. We can make arguments while still saying I love you and I'm going to listen to you. But you need to have those conversations, though. If somebody says, "Well, I'm thinking about voting for Trump because I remember the economy being pretty good," remind them why it was good. If you say, "Well, I'm mad about higher prices," you say, "Well, what is exactly Donald Trump's plan for higher prices?" Just ask them. If they don't, you tell them he's got concepts of a plan, and it don't make sense. If if they're concerned about issues like immigration, ask them. Well, what do you think he's going to do? Because we know what he did the first time didn't work. You can have that conversation, and if after you've gone through that, and the folks who are unconvinced say, "Yeah, I don't know, I still like him," then I think you have to then say, "Yeah, but what about character? What about values? Because that matters. It's not just policies are on the ballot. Don't vote for somebody who does not respect you. Don't vote for somebody who makes fun of people because they're not like them. Don't play on people who are weaker than you. It's about values. It's about character. So whether this election is making you feel excited or scared or hopeful or frustrated or anything in between, do not sit back and hope for the best. Get up your coach and what? Put down your phone and do what? Vote for Kamala Harris as the next president of the United States. Vote for Kamala Harris as the next vice president of the United States. Vote for Ruben Diallo and this highly incredible Arizona Democratic ticket. Tell your friends and family members and neighbors to do the same. Because if enough of us make our voices heard, we will leave no doubt about the outcome of this election. We will leave no doubt about who we are and what America stands for. And together we will keep building a country that is more fair and more just and more equal and more free. That is our job. That's our responsibility. Tucson, let's get good. Woo!